Chilling details have now emerged from the forensic report of Tigress Avni. The report reveals that the dart that was allegedly fired at the Tigress could have actually been placed after the Tigress died. The report found the presence of tranquilization drugs only in the skin layer and the muscle layer of the Tigress and not in the organs. The report also reveals that there was no blood circulation when the dart was fired, an indication that the Tigress was already dead. Let's go across to my colleague Amita Balachandra joining us on the phone line. Amita, all the evidence continues to stack up here that this was, not self-defense, that this was a premeditated murder to kill this tigress. But unfortunately, we're still seeing the individuals who carried this out, facing no action. What more details can you share with us from this new forensic report that once again exposes the Maharashtra government and the team that was there on ground in Maharashtra looking for the tigress?
Well, Viren, the forensic report is further proof of clear violation as far as the death of Avni was concerned. It substantiates the post-mortem report, which is also suggested earlier that the dart was perhaps placed after the tigress died. So essentially, when the dart went in, it did not pierce the organs; it only pierced in the muscle area, clearly pointing at the fact that perhaps the dart could have been placed earlier. That's what the post-mortem report had said, and the forensic report substantiates the same point. Additionally, now that we know that several reports have come out, including the NTCA and the state report, the NTCA had issued a so-called notice to the government, but so far they haven't received any reply. The information that we're picking up at this point is the Maharashtra State Veterinary Council will perhaps file a police complaint against the hunter and the forest guard who used veterinary drugs without any authorization. We understand they're waiting for the ballistic report, which is not yet out, but that they will file a police complaint soon.
Right, Amita, and the damning evidence continues to stack up against the killers of this tigress. But why has the Maharashtra government been so silent? Because we've seen activists across the board question the Maharashtra government, who have chosen to buy the version of the team that was on the ground, including the killer, including the shooter Shafat. But why is the Maharashtra government silent so far? If they seem to say that they did not order this killing, then why aren't they speaking more?
Well, so far, Viren, especially after the post-mortem report, we've had no information, no word from the forest minister, who was so vocal as soon as Menaka Gandhi had put out that tweet. But post-mortem report, post the evidence stacking up against the forest department, against the hunter and the forest guard here in question, there has been no word at all from the Maharashtra government, perhaps pointing at the fact that there could be a cover-up here. Because you must remember, the NTCA report also points out that perhaps the forest department was also at fault. The state government report, the state committee that was set up, did not say that. They, however, said that that the forest department did everything possible, but it was the hunter's fault. So therefore, the forest department perhaps might be given a clean sheet here, is what we're hearing, and that's the question that a lot of activists are also asking now.
Right, absolutely. Stay with us. I've also got Dr. Gerald Bennett, who's one of the... Okay, I seem to have lost the line there with Dr. Gerald Bennett. We'll try and reconnect with him, but... Okay, we've got Dr. Gerald Bennett back with us on the phone line. Dr. Gerald Bennett, this is once again damning evidence here, because the forensic report once again, talks, it confirms your suspicions, as many people's suspicions had emerged after this killing of Tigress Avni, that dart that was placed far later. It was not an attempt to tranquilize the tigress. What would you like to see in terms of action? Because we heard radio silence from the Maharashtra government ever since these reports, one after the other, began to emerge.
The Forest Department and Maharashtra government is covering up this entire cold-blooded murder of Avni. They have been trying to protect this shikari or the hunter since the beginning. And they were taking responsibility that nothing has happened, every rule was followed, there was no violation. And now that reports are suggesting that there are so many violations, it was a cold-blooded murder, there was no attempts made to tranquilize. Now the forest department and the forest minister and the entire Maharashtra government should take responsibility of this. They should step down from their post because they were protecting a criminal. They were trying to justify this cold-blooded murder, and now they should take responsibility and step down because the reports are suggesting what we had suspected from the beginning, that it was a cold-blooded murder, and there were so many violations of all the laws and the rules.
Right, and Dr. Gerald Bennett, another of the problems that we saw and was completely obvious from the ground, from that team that was assembled, was there weren't any experts on that panel. That there are certain guidelines that were put out by the National Tiger Conservation Authority, but how this actually needs to be done, none of those were adhered to. So, isn't it time that the government begins to take some visible action? Or who would you like to see step in? Because somebody needs to begin to hold these people accountable for what they've done.
Absolutely. The composition of team which is supposed to be on an operation like this, according to National Tiger Conservation Authority's 2013's guideline, it is very different. Even on the affidavit which was submitted by Forest Council in October month, in the same case, was different than what the actual team was on the day Avni was killed. There has to be veterinarians on the team or wildlife biologists, and especially a person who is specialized in animal anesthesia. But there were no veterinarians on the team to tranquilize or bring her back or give the dose reversal to bring her back from anesthesia. There were just foresters and forest guards. There was nobody from the veterinarian team on the team which had went to kill a Tigress Avni. Even in the backup team, there were just 6 laborers.
Yeah, and I want to put this question of this forensic report directly now to Dr. Shashank Tyagi, who's a forensic expert. Forgive me, Dr. Gerald Bennett, for interrupting you. But Dr. Tyagi, just to put this entire thing to rest, if indeed we had a situation where the story was as per what they were claiming on the ground, that the dart was fired, the tigers tried to lunge at them, they then went on to shoot the tiger in self-defense. But if that were to be true, what is the kind of evidence that we would have found in a normal situation like that, where the story actually holds?
Yes, actually the first thing is, if there is an infection of the dart when the tigers was alive, so there will be a small redness will be there around the skin margins, as well as there is swelling and the infiltration of blood around the skin margins. So it is already mentioned in the postmortem report that there was no swelling and no infiltration of the skin, underlying skin. And also, during forensic science report, they have mentioned only the drug was present over the skin and the muscle layer, not on the blood and in the organs. So if there is no drug inside the blood and the organs, so there is very less chances that this has been inflicted during the lifetime of the tiger.
Right, and it's very important to point out those facts because this forensic report now once again lays bare this cover-up that it seems carried on after the killing of Tigress Avni. Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen, as well as Amitav.